welcome to another episode of Drinking with Geeks. I'm Roz.
I'm Matt.
And today we're going to talk about Rubato. It's a Vancouver-based spirit, and it's marketing itself as an alternative to Campari.
We have it here, and right off the bat, this is Rubato, and we've also got a nice glass of Campari, just for a comparison. And, I mean, right off the bat, you can see it's quite a different color. It's much lighter, a little more pink, rather than that intense red that's really iconic for Campari.
What color would you say this was if you were gonna... Like, this one is almost a pinky...
Yeah, it's quite pastel. Like, it's a pastel pink. That is, like, almost crimson.
When Matt brought this home, I didn't really know that much about the product, and I'm a big fan of Campari because the Negroni is my favorite drink. So I'm, of course, super excited to find out how this spirit is different.
Yeah, let's take our first sips, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about Campari to give people kind of a grounding who might not be familiar with it, because it's a rather intense liqueur. It's not a nice, sweet...
In fact, I
North
would
American
use
liqueur.
my 3 adjectives for Campari. Your first one is bitter, and then spicy, and then sweet. Because it does have a lot of sweetness to it. But the bitterness and the spices really hit you first. It's so good. Yep, that's Campari. It's an Italian aperitif, so it's got a lot of history. I also kind of think of it as kind of like the KFC secret spices recipe.
Okay, that's an interesting way. I don't know that Campari would like being compared to KFC.
But it is like a super secret recipe that you don't really know. I can't tell you what's in it.
Yeah. If you can look on Wikipedia, and it gives a few of the ingredients that are in it, 2 of which I think are some of the main flavors, and I don't recognize them. They're like some Mediterranean citrus that I've never heard of, and another thing, it'll stay around. But the Rubato, as you might guess, based on the name, is actually rhubarb-based, which is kind of weird, because Campari does, as far as I know, is not rhubarb, but...
Secret spices.
Yeah. This one has the rhubarb.
If I don't have to drink more of this, I know I love Campari, and it's amazing.
Right off the bat, this is definitely sweeter.
Okay, now I get to find out.
Yeah.
This is the big test for me. Oh, it smells very different. It's not nearly as complex and spicy. It smells very...
I don't know that I would call the Campari overly complex. To me, it's just quite intensely bitter and herbal, even just by the smell.
Okay, this is still really lovely. It's very sweet.
It's been a long time since I've actually just had straight Campari. It's actually a
you
lot
can really-
sweeter than I remember.
It is
being.
very sweet.
I think not everybody really realizes it, but all liqueurs actually have quite a bit of sugar in them. They actually have to have a certain amount of sugar to be called a liqueur, and it's one of the reasons why they also tend to have a lower alcohol content.
Although, what's Campari? It's like...
Campari
25%,
is 25%, whereas the Rubato is only 20%. So it's a little lighter on the alcohol, a little less intensely bitter.
It still has a nice bitterness to it, though. I would put the sweetness ranked above the bitter and the flavors that are coming to me. And I feel like there's some other fruit flavor coming through, because the rhubarb is there, but it's not like sour like a rhubarb flavor.
No, it's also got a bit of like strawberry. It's really quite nice. I mean, it's flavors you would expect to go together, rhubarb and strawberry.
This would be really nice with soda.
Yeah, and
especially because I would want to dilute out some of the sweet taste, because it's a little bit intense for me just to have on its own without...
Yeah, I think it's more... I would say if I was going to drink one of these straight or just on ice, I would definitely go with the Rubato, because I have a little bit sweeter of a palate.
He's the sweet tooth of the 2 of us, that's true.
I'm quite sensitive to bitterness in things, so
Bring it
I avoid
on!
things that are too bitter. I'm not an IPA fan. Roz loves the IPAs, obviously.
Oh yeah. Bring up those IBUs. Okay.
Yeah, this is much more pleasant to me as just a sipping drink. But the real test, and we're gonna let Roz judge this because she's the expert, is how is it in a Negroni?
Right?
Because we mentioned that
Oh,
the
oh
company
god.
is sort of promoting this as an alternative to Campari, so much that they actually have a recipe for a Negroni on the back, which includes their own gin.
Smart.
Tempo,
Big
which
fan.
we
It's
had to
great.
get a fresh bottle of because I thought we had a bottle when we went to do this. Turns out Roz drank it all.
Someone drank it all. I mean, it could have been anyone.
That's true. I might have made a few Tom Collinses with it.
We have friends who are big fans of gin. They might have drank it when they came over too.
That's true. Although, when I worked at the liquor store, I did talk to a couple people who were big gin fans, and they actually weren't huge fans of the Tempo because the juniper is pushed really far back, and the dominant flavor is actually quite vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
Not as in plain, as in actual vanilla, which is a funny thing that means like plain and boring, but vanilla is the second most expensive plant
And at some
product.
point, vanilla would have been super sexy and exotic for people. So
Oh yeah, when it was the most exotic thing until we learned how to synthesize it recently, which kind of tanked it.
vanillin.
But real vanilla is still actually quite expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And tastes lovely in this gin. But when we put them all together, how does it work as a Negroni?
Oh, flash it up for you. Cha-cha-chow. And you'll notice the color is not as red. But the flavor is what's most important to me. Not that presentation isn't a huge part of your cocktails. Obviously it is.
Yeah.
I like it. I don't like it as much as I would prefer my Negroni with the Campari. It could also be a little bit about my expectation, that when I think Negroni and then I taste something that isn't the flavor that I expect, that you feel like a little bit let down. But really, this is still an excellent drink. I think what comes through is a really different set of flavors, which is super fun.
Yeah, I think they've gone for something that's a little more North American in its palate, which really just means sweeter and fruitier, which is something you can see even in wine. Like European wines, especially in Italy, can be much more intense, and Italy loves bitter things. Amaro
Yeah, we
just
do.
means bitter. And that's a whole class of liqueurs there. So,
And they're big into the idea of an aperitif as well, right? A really intensely spicy or bitter drink that you would have around dinners.
whereas North Americans, we like things a little bit sweeter. Certainly, the North American styles of wine tend to be a little bit sweeter and fruitier. It's what the public likes.
You know, drinking it is kind of funny. It reminds me a bit of pie. And probably because when it's sweeter, so it gives you the sense of a dessert. But when I make a rhubarb pie, I'll often put orange peel in it. And so to me, those two flavors together remind me of that.
Oh wow, that does taste like pie. This is a Negroni I would drink, which means that serious Negroni fans probably are not going to be fans of it.
But doesn't it taste like pie?
It tastes ridiculously like pie. I totally...
Reminds me of the pie we make with my mom.
Yeah, you can taste like a little bit of cinnamon and like ginger, almost. It tastes a bit like gingerbread, which is very strange and unexpected. I'm guessing from some of the vanilla and stuff in the
Science is
gin.
fun.
It might also be the vermouth that we're using, which we should mention is the Via, which is, I think, the same thing we used in the Negroni video. That is essentially a spiced wine. You definitely don't taste cinnamon just in the...
No, you definitely don't taste any of those flavors in the Rubato at all.
No.
Rubato tastes like sweet rhubarb with a hint of strawberry and a little bit of some other herbals, I think.
I bet it would be great with Prosecco, right? Like, it would make an amazing spritz.
Oh, that would be so good.
Unless we drank our Prosecco on the weekend.
Someone drank the Prosecco. Mostly me.
We had company, and the company actually helped drink the Prosecco, so it wasn't just us drinking. It was social, and therefore more acceptable.
You know what? Enjoy yourself, internet. I really like this as well. It's definitely too sweet for me to have as a go-to drink. But if I ordered this at a restaurant, I would not be disappointed. Well, I'd be disappointed if I thought I was just getting a Negroni with Campari. But if I knew it was going to be a slightly different kind of a flavor, I'm in. It's delicious.
Yeah, I think what you'd have to do with this is find like a bitters that goes with it so that it's almost a spin on a Negroni.
Yeah, it was recently Negroni week. People are coming out with all sorts of different variations. I really like, we talked about the barrel-aged Negroni when we did the Negroni video. Those also give a different set of flavors. So people out there who are trying to experiment, I think this is really a good idea for you. Try something else. And we don't really have too many alternatives to Campari, so go for it. And also find other drinks to try this with because it's super fun.
Final thoughts? Do you have a rating out of 5? We gotta come up with like what drinking with geeks rates things
Out of.
And I kind of feel like it might need to be on a ridiculously fine, like 100-point with decimals scale.
It should
so
be
that
very. We
like,
need graphs probably. Okay. I think I would give this 4 pies out of a cake.
How many
Too silly?
pies are in a cake?
That's a good question.
Because I kind of feel like whatever the answer is gonna be BS. Because is what? Like, there's 5 pies in a cake? Cake is so much less good than pie.
Less good.
So much less good. There's like maybe 10 cakes worth of goodness in a single pie.
Okay, the cake versus pie thing is messing us up here. Maybe I will give this.
Getting a little off track.
I would give this a 7 out of 10. Mostly because my preference is going to be for things that aren't as sweet, but the novelty of the flavors is very fun.
So I guess our kind of final thoughts on it are that it's a bit odd of a comparison to Campari because it doesn't actually taste a whole lot like Campari.
It's not a perfect replacement for your Campari in your liquor cabinet.
But if it tasted exactly the same as Campari, what would be the point in buying? Like, why would you have 2 different things? That's silly. It should taste different. Definitely means that you can't just swap it out quite as readily as I think their marketing suggests you can. But on its own, it is a good quality liqueur. It's going to make you some fantastic drinks.
And maybe invent some new ones.
Cheers to the internet. Okay, you can. Okay, now there we go. And again.
So I don't know what else you want to try, or you... Man, it feels like there's a lot of drinks.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of when you're a kid playing like street hockey games, just like car.
Yeah. Good times.
Yeah. Because I played a lot of street hockey as a kid, like 2-3 times. You know, it was intense.
I'm so impressed.